Oh, that we had a little discussion earlier, Jay Young. You'll hear back
about Marshawn Lynch's penis.
Yeah. So, Johnny C. He also tweeted us a question. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's in a different language, Jay Young. I'm sure it probably means something. You probably translate it. I don't know what it means. I'm gonna do my best to pronounce it. Maybe you know what it means. But here's the question. Kerned. Hezbatarian Buliag Jimunza Dort Sirkunzga Rort Dort Nuke? Care to respond?
Actually, guys, I have no words. Those are words that cannot be repeated in English if I were to translate them, so I will not answer that.
Okay, fair enough. I hope I didn't offend anyone.
That is very admirable.
I don't know what I just said, so blame Johnny C if that offended you.
Jesus. It offended me. I don't even know what it means. Coach, you're playing Coach Brian Tavolieri this week, who's Peyton Manning led squad is tearing it up.
Should we call them the Peyton Mannings?
Yeah, I'm going to. Anyway, we spoke with him a little earlier, and he actually had this to say to you.
Hey, Coach Jay Young. It's Coach Brian of Soulglow. I just wanted to reach out to you before our game this week and, just say a couple things. I mean, first of all, I think a lot of coaches would take the low road by doing this, and they'd probably make some comments about some, Asian stereotypes. Like, they'd probably say something like, oh, you guys know how to make great cars, but you don't know how to drive them. Or they'd say, oh, I bet your doorbell at home is a gong. Or something like that. But we don't do that here at Soulglow. We have respect for the people we play. That's the kind of organization that we are. We wouldn't say things like, oh, I bet you're really good at math. Or, maybe your grandfather owned an opium den at some point. Do that here at Soulglow. And there's one word, and that's respect. And I respect the shit out of you. So you have a great game this week, you crazy Asian man.
Wow.
Did you get all that, Coach?
There were some pieces at the end that were a little confusing, but I think I got the gist of it. I got the gist.
What a great guy that Brian. He's just taking the high road and not saying anything negative about you. That's really great.
Right.
Good job, Brian.
I mean, it's true. So I agree. I have a lot of respect for Brian, but I mean, Eric, you and I have worked with him. We know he can be a little odd. So I'll just say, I mean, Brian's that. How do I say it? Brian's the kind of guy that uses a urinal next to someone instead of using an open urinal further away. You know what I mean? He's the dude that brings salad to a barbecue. I personally have seen him walk out of the mall with a Forever 21 bag. Okay, I had a conversation with him the other day. He stopped me mid-sentence, said shh, and then wiped the smudge off my face. So he's that kind of guy. All right, so he's a good guy, just a little odd. We just have to humor him sometimes.
He sounds wonderful.
There it is. Well, Coach Jay Young, thank you so much for being on the show. Of course, thank you for your contributions to the Dynasty. It's been wonderful having you. You're here in your third season. You are the Dynasty technology analyst, a power ranking article writer, and you're doing a great job. You're in the midst of a possible season here that we may all remember or we may all forget. Who knows? Time will tell. Time will tell, my friends. Jay Young, thank you for being on the show, and I want to remind you, you have a lifetime contract with the Dynasty, so you aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and we will all see you at the mid-season hangout, hopefully in a couple of weeks, which we will. I will inform everyone is October 28th, I think, on a Sunday. I'm rambling on here, but Jay Young, again, I just want to show my appreciation to you.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Excellent. See ya.
Adios. Konnichiwa.
So, Bob, that was wonderful. Great interview.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and, speaking of great interviews, let's go right into the inventor of fantasy football with Scotty Sterling. He is an important gentleman. He's taking time from rebuilding the Sacramento Kings. And let's just get right into it and find out exactly how the hell this all went down. This game that we all love and enjoy. Fantasy football started in the 60s. How the fuck did it happen? Let's find out.
Let's do it.
Now, the Dynasty Podcast brings you an interactive and likely ridiculous segment with borderline on actual legit media. Buckle up your fucking seatbelts for the Dynasty Podcast interactive segment.
And now on the Jube's Family Restaurant interactive guest hotline, he is currently the Director of Scouting for the NBA Sacramento Kings, and he is the former GM of the Oakland Raiders and former Vice President of Operations for the NBA. He's also the former GM of the New York Knicks, and also one of the founding fathers of the game that we all have loved for a while here now is fantasy football. He is Scotty Sterling. Scotty, thanks for being on the show.
Sure, Eric.
Excellent. So, Scotty, today fantasy football is a multi-billion-dollar industry in which about 40 million people enjoy. But back in the early 60s, believe it or not, fantasy football didn't even exist, as you probably know. I believe during this time you were a beat reporter covering the Oakland Raiders when yourself, along with the late Bill Wickenbach and fellow sports editor George Ross, essentially invented the very first fantasy football league. Can you...
That's true. There was a fourth guy involved, Bill Pinnell, who was the PR director for the Raiders.
Ah, okay. So the four of you kind of put your heads together and kind of came up with the initial concept. Can you kind of just take us back and let us know what you remember from how the idea kind of got started?
I remember it all because every day I think about the 40 million people that are playing. I wish I would get the penny for each one. But we were on an Oakland Raider trip, and we were in New York. It was 1962, and we were between games, and we were at the Manhattan Hotel, which was an iconic hotel in Manhattan at the time, drinking beer in Winkenbach's room, and he told us about a couple of games that he had created in the 50s. One was a baseball game in which the team players picked a pitcher and a home run hitter, and depending on who they were playing, he would select those two players. And the other one he created was a PGA Golf Tour game in which he selected golfers for whatever week he wanted. So from that point, we started talking about maybe one that involved football, since we were all out to one degree or another with the Oakland Raiders. And that's how it started. We stayed up all night. We worked on it. We worked out the rules. We worked out the scoring system. And we didn't play until 1963. That was the first year we played, because at this point it was late in the year 1962. And the interesting thing was that first night when we put it together and we decided on a form of the draft, because we were with the Raiders in the AFL, we were only going to draft AFL players. Mm-hmm. But by the time we started in 63, we included NFL players.
All right, pretty interesting. That's pretty neat how that kind of worked out there. Did you ever really think that it would become, what it is today? Like Eric said, 40 million people playing, or did you think this was just kind of a fun thing to do at the time, and you do it for a couple of years, and whatever, that was a good time?
Oh, we had no idea. In fact, both Ross and I worked for the Tribune, and we never even wrote about it. I mean, we played this game. I played for a couple of seasons, I think. Then I went to work for the Raiders, and I didn't have time. But we had no idea where it was going to go. And some years later, when I was with the NBA, I was on a trip to the West, and I ran into Winkenbach, and I said, man, we should have done something with that game, because at that point, it was all over the country, and not only in football, but it was in hockey, and it was in baseball, and now I understand it's in basketball.
So unfortunately, no royalties from that, but I guess more of a pride thing. You can kind of throw that around and say, hey, guess what I was part of.
Oh yeah, except my wife always says, nice going.
Yeah. Do you still play fantasy football? And if so,
oh no. I played 2 years is all.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I went to work for the Raiders, and then I got into basketball. But they played at the King's office, and they've asked me to play, but I just don't have the interest in football anymore. And coincidentally, the best player in the Kings office is a gal. She wins every year.